Ladies and gentlemen, baby faces, and all my true heels out there, what's going on? I am Richie Moon. This is Richie's Raw Recap. And before we get in today's business, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will usually follow this up by saying we are on our way to 1K, but thank you. You are all far too kind. We have met our goal of 1K and we are exceeding it. So now we are on our way to 2K. Now, let's kick this off because Raw started off with a bit of a surprise. Spoilers for those who did not watch the Elimination Chamber. Raw kicked off with our brand new WWE Champion Miz in a special edition of Miz TV, the Championship Edition. He was flanked by, of course, his sidekick, John Morrison. And then MVP and Bobby Lashley came down there, which was very interesting because that's when we found out that it was actually The Miz who commissioned Bobby Lashley to put the brutal beat down on Drew McIntyre, which led to Miz cashing in his Money in the Bank. And this, I have to say, from the last 3 years that Bobby Lashley has been in WWE, this is easily the best they have made him, the strongest that they have booked him. And for all of us that were fans of his work in TNA and his first run in WWE, and even his legit MMA fighting, we're like, finally, this is the Bobby Lashley that we always knew. This is the beast that we knew that was always there. WWE finally just let the chains loose. Coupled with MVP, this is the best Bobby Lashley has looked. Next up on Monday Night Raw, we had a continuation from the three-way match last night, which Bobby Lashley lost, but he did not take the pinfall or submission. We had Matt Riddle, your new United States champion, versus John Morrison in a great back-and-forth TV match, and hopefully this brings the U.S. Championship back to the workhorse. You know, Bobby Lashley was a very dominating champion, so it wasn't the workhorse belt because he was just dominating everybody. So with Riddle in the driver's seat now, hopefully this goes back to the workhorse place on Monday Night Raws that it desperately needs. Next up, we had a video package. Well, not really a video package, but we had a Rhea Ripley is coming soon on the Titantron at the Thunderdome. And hey, listen, Rhea Ripley is badass. I still don't think she's fully recovered from that loss last year at WrestleMania to Charlotte Flair. So hopefully they can do a storyline and where they can build it up and have this long-term feud, this really intricate layered feud with Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, but how she builds it up. But they won't though. They of course not. It's just hopeful thinking. I'm just throwing it out there. Of course they're not gonna do it. But hey, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, WWE. The New Day was up next, and they defeated T-Bar and Slapjack. And honestly, like, we all thought that this feud was leading to Kofi versus Ali, which is the perfect, intricate, layered story that I was just referring to. But we're not. We just get the New Day defeating Retribution, and then Ali just getting frustrated with them and yelling with them. So are they going to implode? I don't know. At this point, like, who cares, man? Seriously, who cares? Why should we care? And at this point in the show, it was time for The Miz to make his ultimatum. Bobby Lashley had gave him 1 hour to make his decision because along with that, I guess that business deal that he did with the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley said, hey, listen, I'm going to put this beat down on Drew McIntyre, but then I am going to be the first person to get a title shot at your WWE Championship. So before things could continue, we had money. Shane McMahon come out there, and you know, it's interesting that Shane McMahon is back around WrestleMania season, and then Braun Strowman came out there, and Braun Strowman was just like, hey, man, get these hands. Nobody deserves this title shot except for me and screw everybody else. I mean, that's essentially what he said. And Shane McMahon booked the match between Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman in the main event of tonight's Raw, saying if Braun Strowman wins, then it will be a three-way next match for Miz WWE Championship. Next up, we had the Lucha House Party and the Hurt Business in a tornado tag, and this was a great back and forth fun tag team match, but I think the Hurt Business deserves a proper feud. They're done with Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin are done with the infighting, so these two need a proper feud and not the New Day. Just build some new tag teams up so they can have a proper feud. That's not the New Day. It's probably going to be the New Day. So we were backstage, and R-Truth was scared to go after Bad Bunny because he had Boricua Taker, aka Damian Priest, protecting him, and that somehow led into Boricua Taker versus Angel Garza in a good match, and Damian Priest really played that babyface angle comeback and really pulled, was really fiery, made the good babyface comeback, and he pulled out the win. Then he beat up the 24/7 Jobbers to protect Bad Bunny. Good on you, Boricua Taker. Next up on Monday Night Raw, we had Randy Orton backstage cutting a promo, and he talked about how he kept getting distracted by this match and this going on and this going on. And then he started to cough up black blood, like this black liquid, and then just kind of skirted off. And I love the way that commentary just like literally no-sold this. And, more spooky stuff. I mean, hey, listen, if you're into this spooky storyline and all that, it works for you. I think it works at certain times. Last night, it was a bit dumb. It was a bit dumb. But hey, if it works for you, let it resonate. Next up on Raw, we had Charlotte Flair and Asuka finally imploding after their losing effort against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. But even with this feud, I'm still scared that Asuka, even with this seemingly building feud with Asuka and Charlotte Flair, I still see somebody entering this feud and then Asuka's just still being a prop, even though she's the champion. I mean, hey, Lacey Evans is shoot pregnant, so she really can't wrestle anymore. So I'm pretty sure they'll find somebody else to feud with Charlotte Flair just to make the champion Asuka a prop. And I love Asuka. She needs to be protected by all means, but WWE just book her so trash sometimes. It is. Yo, and it's so interesting because, next up we have Charlotte Flair yelling at her dad saying, just go home and let me be my own person. This is Charlotte Flair saying, let me be my own person. Despite the robe, the music, the woo, and the figure 8. And Ric Flair said he's sorry and that, he didn't get Lacey Evans pregnant. It doesn't mean he didn't bang her, but he didn't get her pregnant. So, and then he smiled and left. So I'm pretty sure they just tied up that story and off to the wind. Next up, we had Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy in a really hard-hitting affair that kept Sheamus looking strong and kept his momentum going because we all know there is an inevitable clash between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Thank you, WWE, for keeping Sheamus looking strong because he really has a lot of momentum right now. Next up, we had a pointless tag team women's match with Naomi and Lana versus Dana Brooke and Mandy. And I mean, I thought we moved so far from this. If you watch Sasha Banks' interview with Stone Cold on the Steve Austin podcast, you would think that we've moved so far from these Divas matches, but that's exactly what they gave these ladies. They gave these ladies a Divas match, a straight piss break, 2-minute match that really meant nothing. Come on, give these ladies something to do. This is ridiculous. Then we had a random match with AJ Styles and Ricochet. I mean, listen, I could watch these two 7 days out of the week, twice on Sunday. But this was actually mostly about Omos. He got a video package. The commentators were putting him over super, super duper strong. Did you know he's tall? Because the commentator said that about 44 times. He is tall. He ended the match with AJ Styles won the match, but he ended with Omos hitting Ricochet with a 2-handed choke slam for good measure. And he's tall. He's tall. Did I mention that he's tall? Because he's tall. And for our main event, we had two big, beefy boys, Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman. And, this had Paul Heyman's fingerprints written all over it because these guys were just hitting signatures and finishers and finishers. It was really a fun main event seeing these two big, beefy boys just... But at the end, Lashley continuing to be the dominating, continue to be, I don't want to call him the beast, but Bobby Lashley has just been so dominant over these last couple of months. He's been booked so strong, and I'm so glad they're continuing this momentum with the Bobby Lashley that we always knew was there. He's finally living up to his full potential in his second run in WWE. He ended this with a big spear, and Miz got in there, hit him with the spear, and everybody noticed that this was a really heel-heavy main event. But hey, listen, it doesn't matter because Bobby Lashley is in that driver's seat. And honestly, I think Bobby Lashley will be WWE Champion heading into WrestleMania. So, given the last couple of weeks of Raw, comparatively speaking, coming off a very solid Elimination Chamber, this wasn't a bad episode of Monday Night Raw. I wouldn't call it a good, but it was definitely somewhere right in between. If I had to give it a score from 1 to 5, I give it a 3. I usually do hits or misses. It wasn't a hit, but it definitely wasn't a miss. Like I said, it rides that middle wave. But what I did like is that there was some storylines really heavily continued. Bobby Lashley continues to be booked really strong. I like what they're doing with Matt Riddle with the U.S. Championship. Let's continue to book Riddle strong and really recover him. What are they doing with AJ Styles and Omos? I don't know. Maybe Omos is going to turn. I'm not sure. But they do have some interesting storylines going on Raw. So, WWE, you're doing good, but you can do better. But, hey, listen. We're leading up to Fastlane. We're on the road to WrestleMania. They got some good things. The good is definitely outweighing the bad, comparatively speaking, for the last couple of episodes of Monday Night Raw. So, it was an all right episode. But with that being said, I am Richie Moon. I hope you don't mind me sitting down and just like I said, this is like a casual conversation about Monday Night Raw instead of just me giving you the whole presenter vibe, just switching it up a little bit. Next week we'll be back to me being all in your face. But with that being said, we'll worry about next week when we get there. Like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to all my True Heel Heat team members. We are the best stable. I am the babyface of the True Heel Heats, and we hit our 1K mark. Thank you to everybody out there that's listening, that's watching, that likes, that shares, that subscribe. Man, we cover WWE, the WWF, because they do old school stuff. They cover AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan. We literally cover all assets of wrestling, SmackDown, NXT. Obviously, I'm the man with the plan for Monday Night Raw, but you already knew all that. I was just recapping it for you. But with that being said, peace, love, and light. Today is Tuesday. Last night was Monday Night Raw. So when you see me, you know what that means. Peace, love, and light, and I'll see you next time.